Something just awoke behind the sun, and NASA can't explain it. For years, the sun was considered silent, predictable, our most studied star. But in late data from several solar monitoring satellites, scientists began to notice something that shouldn't be there. Patterns of radiation emerging from the far side, signals repeating at impossible intervals, as if something vast and conscious had stirred from sleep. At first, they thought it was noise. Then the noise began to move. The side of the sun that never faces Earth suddenly lit up with flares so symmetrical that algorithms marked them as artificial. Within hours, the story vanished from official feeds. NASA spokespeople called it a calibration glitch, but inside the agency, analysts were told to stop referring to it as a glitch and start calling it an anomaly. The kind that doesn't fit any solar model we know. Imagine a storm larger than Jupiter rising in a region of the sun we can't even see. Imagine it pulsing with a rhythm closer to a heartbeat than to physics. One engineer leaked that the waveform looked like a coded signal, 1, 0, 1, 0, too perfect to be random. Another claimed that a probe near Mercury registered a gravitational pulse strong enough to nudge its orbit by a few centimeters. Then everything went quiet. Data streams that were public for decades suddenly went private. And yet, fragments kept leaking. Ultraviolet flashes, bursts of radio energy bending around the solar limb, whispers of something forming just beyond the corona, something no telescope was built to capture. NASA called in independent observatories, and that's when the real confusion began. Instruments in Chile, Hawaii, and space all disagreed. Each saw a different shape, a ring, a vortex, a flare folding back on itself. One image looked like an eye, a perfect iris of plasma staring directly toward Earth. The official explanation? Optical illusion. But illusions don't last for days. They don't generate magnetic waves that disrupt satellites or distort deep space transmissions. Within 48 hours, at least 3 communication arrays across the Pacific reported interference matching the same frequency as the anomaly. It was as if the sun was suddenly broadcasting. Scientists hate words like alive, but one of them broke protocol and said it anyway. It's awake. The quote disappeared minutes later, yet the internet caught it, replayed it, magnified it. Awake? What does that mean for a star that's been burning for 4.6 billion years? Could something dormant be buried in its core, some unknown process, or perhaps something not natural at all? In the 1970s, NASA launched probes that recorded low-frequency solar vibrations, a kind of deep hum. Every few decades the pattern repeats. But this time the hum changed pitch. It became higher, faster, like the acceleration of a machine. And then, without warning, it stopped. The silence lasted precisely 33 seconds before the flare erupted from the far side. So powerful it bent the solar wind around Venus. Observers expected radiation storms, but nothing happened. The energy vanished, absorbed by something invisible behind the sun. When the solar orbiter turned its instruments toward the coordinates, it caught a reflection. Not light from the sun, but light bending around something, as if a massive object had briefly uncloaked. No asteroid could do that. No planet could hide there. And yet the math said otherwise. A mass roughly the size of Earth, but invisible in every spectrum. Some called it a magnetic phantom. Others whispered an older name, the companion, the dark twin that ancient astronomers believed guided the cycles of destruction and rebirth. Myth, they said, until now. Inside NASA, theorists split into camps. One side insisted it was a natural magnetic knot unraveling. The other suspected an interstellar object caught in gravitational resonance, feeding on the sun's energy. But the data kept showing something stranger. The anomaly wasn't stationary. It was orbiting, slowly, predictably, like it was watching. In the weeks that followed, power grids on Earth experienced unexplained surges at dawn and dusk. The exact moments when the hidden side of the sun rotated toward or away from us. Coincidence, maybe. But the timing was perfect, almost scripted. And when amateur astronomers began capturing faint echoes of the same pulse with backyard radios, NASA's silence grew deafening. They couldn't explain it because the math implied intelligence, pattern recognition, where there should be chaos. Some waveform analysts even reconstructed the signal and converted it into sound. What they heard was not static. It was structured, Rising tones, descending tones, like a message repeated over and over. 3 bursts. Pause. 2 bursts. Pause. 1. No one knows what it means. Some think it's a natural resonance between magnetic fields. Others say it's the echo of something waking up, something that has been part of the sun since its birth. Maybe a field, maybe a machine, maybe life. But not as we understand it. For the first time, physicists began using words once reserved for philosophers: consciousness, memory, awakening. Then came the blackout. Several solar satellites entered safe mode simultaneously. NASA released a statement blaming cosmic rays, but technicians leaked that the systems shut themselves down, as if responding to an external command. When they rebooted, all recorded data from the previous 6 minutes was gone. 6 minutes of nothing. 6 minutes missing from every feed across multiple spacecraft. And immediately after, the pulse behind the sun stopped. Days later, a new signature appeared, fainter but rhythmic, emanating from the opposite side of the sun, the side facing Earth. Whatever it is, it's moving, following the rotation, crossing to our side. If it keeps that trajectory, it will align directly between Earth and the sun in less than a year. NASA's public updates mention solar magnetic realignment. The internal memos use a different phrase: conscious synchronization event. Could a star wake up? Could the sun itself harbor something ancient, an intelligence born of plasma and gravity, slowly realizing its own existence? Maybe that's what the ancients meant when they called the sun a god. Not a metaphor, but a memory. Every myth of a sleeping deity waiting to return could be the same story told by civilizations that saw this happen before. If this is true, we might be standing at the edge of a cycle older than humanity, watching it repeat. The sun gives us life, but it could also be the only entity capable of erasing it, with a thought, a pulse, a flare we wouldn't see until it was already here. For now, NASA says the data is under review. But behind closed doors, telescopes keep turning toward the hidden face, waiting for the next flicker, the next breath of whatever has begun to awaken. So when you step outside tomorrow and feel that warmth on your skin, remember, something behind that light has opened its eyes. And for the first time in history, the sun might be looking back.